Hello everyone, my name is Notepad Anon and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be working on Soul Survivor, a postmodern TTRPG. I can't really say I hate Yik more than I don't understand the motive for making it. Here's the thing, like, there are a few... People have said there's a few different reasons for making it. On one hand, it was like a self thing because the brothers, their mom passed away or something. So it's kind of more of like a self-referential thing. Other people said it was more like a love letter to Earthbound stuff. If you wanted to be a little bit more negative about it, and this is kind of like one of my beliefs on the matter, was... I think it was, how do I want to word this nicely? Look at all these other games that are kind of like Earthbound doing really, really good. Yeah, look at all these other games, like Earthbound-inspired games that are doing really, really good. We want to make our own. And it kind of just, it was one of those things where I think they saw what Earthbound was. They saw what other Earthbound-like games were doing and said, oh, that's really easy. Like, this is super easy to do. Instead of, how do I want to word this? Instead of making a game that actually used the themes of Earthbound, otherwise known as having themes or having ideas, they instead took all the parts of Earthbound, they took all the parts of these other games, put them in a blender, blended them all together and then put it out. They'll be like, here you go. It's kind of like the idea of being like, I like pulled pork. I like peanut butter jelly sandwiches. I do not want a peanut butter jelly pulled pork sandwich though. That's not doing it for me though. You know, it's like, you can take a bunch of things that work well individually, but putting them together sometimes doesn't really do it. I think that's like one of the key issues of Yik. Hello, Solid, by the way. And I think it was a lot of, yeah, it's odd. And trust me, here's the thing. After I finish Yik, which, judging by where I am currently in the game, now that you make a good point, but I'll give you, depending on where I am in the game, I'm estimating that I'm probably about 40% done with the game, about 40 to 50% done, depending on how fast I actually kind of rip through some of the sections. And it would be like, what I'm going to do afterwards is I'm literally going to have like this entire thing of like how I would rewrite Yick and see if any of my predictions come true for 1.5. Which I'm going to have to do a full other playthrough of 1.5, which I'm going to do story mode with, like, I'm going to do story mode on that one, just easy mode, because I'm like, fuck you, I'm not doing it again. Yeah, it's one of those things, like, peanut butter, pork, ramen, pad thai might not be bad, but here's the thing, you can combine a bunch of disparate elements together to make something decent. And putting them all together, though, does require a lot of good effort and knowing what you're doing. I don't think they did. I think it was a lot of just throwing everything in a pot and hope. I think that's the main issue with Yick. And one of the biggest issues is just like there's none of the themes are consistent, and none of the characters make any fucking sense. So, what did I do from last time? Well, obviously, as you can kind of see, I added some images. I added some things to kind of flesh things out, make it look a little prettier. Let me see. We have Soul Space and You. We got Beings of Soul Space. I couldn't find a good one, so I ended up just using Okabe from Steins Gate. Here's Alex 1. I've decided to just see how many Alexes I could use. Here's the Golden Alpaca himself, which I found the lore on the Golden Alpaca. It's this incredibly long and detailed lore. Saw your 6 a.m. GS stream and post. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. You play something not painful for once. See, the problem is High Fleet is painful for me, and my eyes bleed. Also, before I forget, I would like to thank Corporal A. Shepherd for following. I wouldn't be surprised if I got some bits wrong with the Goblin Slayer lore. I know enough to be dangerous, not enough to be super dangerous, though. My friend knows more about Goblin Slayer lore than anything. Like, here's the thing with the Golden Alpaca lore. This is the weird thing with Golden Alpaca. The Golden Alpaca is a fictional character inside the world of Yick. That's the big idea. It is a fictional character inside the world as like a cartoon, effectively. And the entire idea is he is supposed to be like this person of judgment there to save the world with his giant fuck-off sword of justice or whatever. It makes no sense in context. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Yandere Simulator having like this entire... Yandere Dev posted this entire fucking thing on like a fictional cartoon in Yandere Sim. It makes no sense. Has no recollection to anything. But it's like, it's here, and like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, that's what Golden Alpaca is. It's literally the fictional thing that Alex imagined, or is a major part of the series. It's one of those things, like, you read it, you look at it, you're like, all of this is according to plan. However, this is also the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. Like, no, it's more along the lines of like the thing with the Golden Alpaca is that they put a bunch of this meaningless lore behind it to justify why they have a Golden Alpaca in there. It's completely meaningless. Oh, so to kind of talk to Fergilly here a little bit, it's one of those things, like, Goblin Slayer does have a very bad perception in the manga, and I'd say the anime as well. It does color a lot of people's perception, and it gets a little bit confusing because it's just like, what is really accurate, you could say. I've read the first chapter of the light novels, effectively, or the first chapter to like confirm the big funny Mei, the funny meme scenes were as accurate as I predicted they were. They were not. Yeah. So again, I would say I got my lore roughly correct, not super correct. It's why is everything postmodern is apocalypse, or why is everything postmodern is apocalypse or multiverse? I think the idea like the apocalypse is something that is immediate and we think about constantly, because like think about even the past 20 years, how many apocalypses have we gone through? Like how many, we've gone through a bunch of different apocalypses. Like there's been the end of the day here, the end of the day is there. And I think that's always on people's minds, because like the first thing you think about usually being like, it's the end of day, as something as terrible is going on. And I think that kind of reinforces some of our opinions on things. It makes sense. Multiverse wise, I think that's just a trend because what they want to do. Here's the thing with multiverses, and I'm going to give you all a secret here. This is not related to anything game design wise. I just find this fascinating. What they want to do with multiverse, let's say there's like a movie, we'll say this is movie 1, and then movie 2, movie 3, movie 4. In the way back, what you'd have to do is watch 1, 2, 3, 4. That'd be the simple idea. However, with things like multiverses, it's like show A, and then it's like show A, show B, and you need to watch show A to understand movie 3 accurately, but now there's show C, which you need to watch, if you don't watch show B, movie 2 doesn't make any sense, but then movie 4 needs you to watch both A and B. That's the main reason why they want you to do like multiverse stuff, is quite literally, or like, oh, everything's connected. They want you to just engage with as much of the media as possible. It's each individual experience is a universe unto itself, postmodernism wise. It gets confusing depending on who you're talking to. And my definition of postmodernism at the end of the day is artwork that reflects the artist more than a particular theme or idea. The artist is the theme. And I think we like the idea of being the protagonist of our own reality. And that's like, when I finish up Yick, again, that's going to be one of the variations of Yick, which has a core central themes. Is Alex is trying to become the protagonist of his own life, and failing. Time is a circle, Draco. Gotta always remember that. Time is a circle. Let's see what else I added. Obviously, I added Otacon throughout here because Otacon just made a lot of sense for Mr. Nemens. We also have this. I did change everything to ego, id, and super ego. I thought that would probably be the best of them, even though that isn't quite right. This does also, I completely forgot to add health or PP or anywhere to determine that, so I ended up adding this, the psychophysical reality. Pretty much you have 3 derivative attributes: hit points, aura, energy, and speed. Which the idea of hit points is exactly what you think about it. Actually, ego, that would be... Goosey. Yeah, there we go. So it's kind of like the idea of like, your hit points are how is your physical health, how much damage you can take. It reaches 0, you're fucked, you're unconscious. Aura energy is technically in other games we'd call it mana. However, here's the weird thing about Yick. Yeah, turning movies into comics and stuff like that. Yeah, one of the big things with aura energy is, and why I ended up choosing that name, because in Yick, the mana resource in Yick is actually called PP, which I was always like, I wonder what that means, because normally you would think it's like psychic points or power points, but then I realized something. It's called PP because Earthbound has PP, but it makes a lot more sense in Earthbound because it's psychic points. It's just how, because all the kids in Earthbound are psychics in some way. Yeah, it's like, wait a second. So I kind of had like this emotional like revelation in the night. Was like, wait a second, I can't use PP because PP doesn't make any sense. You could call it empathy points. Not, see, the problem is that doesn't work. It couldn't be empathy points. If I was making a pretentious fucking like narrative game about the power of friendship, empathy points could work. I went with Aura because Aura is a soul, Aura within soul space, but able to power abilities. One weird thing of what I ended up doing with this is it can directly spent to trigger the abilities in soul space, or it can be spent on a 1-to-1 ratio for a +1 to a roll of their choice outside of it. Pretty much, you can only use your superpowers when you are in soul spaces. However, if you are outside, you can spend your AE to pretty much get a +1. So technically, Nemens here has pretty much can get a +17 on any of his on one roll, but he's going to become fatigued if he ever reaches 0 of it. Which is kind of like the idea of like, you don't want to overspend, but you can overspend if you really need to. So yeah, that's kind of the idea, is like, Aura Energy is your ability to, because you are a hero, you have this. Speed is exactly what it is. It's just like, quickly they can move in times of need, as well as determining their initiative in combat. If hero's speed is equal to another speed, then it's decided among them who goes first. If the hero's speed is equal to a hostile, then the hero will go first. I think they should be. Hero will go first. Actually, another heroes. There we go. That's kind of the idea behind Marcus here, is that his entire thing is, he isn't very strong, but he's got pretty good, aura, and he's got decent speed. Not great, but decent. But yeah, because he is not a very physical person. That's not the point of him. He's not supposed to be. Oh yeah, psych point. Yeah, psych points would be like 1. I could work. Again, I might change some of the names of this. I kind of like Aura Energy. It gives kind of a weird vibe to it. Now, are soul survivors in your game like Vela? Not quite. So if we go all the way back up here, the entire idea of a soul survivor is like, in here there are two technically what happens is when someone leaves their body and becomes a soul, pretty much leaves their body and willingly leaves it behind, they become a wandering soul. A wandering soul will kind of go around and do stuff, which they're, at the end of the day, they're either going to become a watcher, someone who is completely cut off from it all, but just likes observing and influencing, otherwise known as you, the player, or they're going to become a universe. They're going to become a reality themselves. They're going to forge their own reality. However, they themselves don't exist. That's the issue. Which leads to a soul survivor, which is, a soul survivor is someone who is a soul that leaves, goes to another reality, and then takes over the body of somebody. Or takes over their own body. That makes sense. Otherwise known as, they do a naughty. And everything going wrong in the world is because a soul survivor has infiltrated and soul space wants in. They cracked open something and soul space is leaking in. And that's what's causing everything to go wrong. It's an oh no. That's just Scientology. Yes. That is. And trust me, it's the same way in game. It's in game, they're not nearly as well explained. Yeah, to a degree, the idea being like soul space wants you to come back. You're not supposed to be there. You're an unnatural creature. And you've opened it up. Soul space begins to collapse around it. And eventually, reality collapses. Unless soul space can be cut off. If you can fix your reality, you can save the world. However, at January 1st, 1 minute after midnight, 2000, your universe is dead. How is postmodern game dev treating you? Nightmares. What is Vela then by your definition? Vela is, by technicality, Vela would be technically a soul survivor. The idea being that she had left her body originally, she came to our reality, or their reality, and inhabited her own body that had also left. With the idea being like everything is collapsing because Vela and a couple other characters are there. Because if you want to get really confusing, this is where things get really, really confusing and really nasty. If we're going by strict technicalities, there's a chance that Sammy is Vela. Vela is also, what's her name? Robot Girl, and Essentia, that's her name. We haven't met Essentia yet, but I know about Essentia. And Sammy is also Vela, who is also Essentia, who is also technically another girl in another dimension, which gets a little bit more a little bit stranger. Technically, they're all the same character at once, but not. Yick lore is stupid. Yick lore is dumb. Remember that. It's a dumb, dumb, dumb thing. You really cannot think about it too hard. Let's see. Tutorial level, this works pretty well. Reliance on the universal will, the ego. One of the other things I did end up adding a little bit was I fleshed out this section. And we also did 1999, a year before the end. Pretty much my summary of 1999 and what everything kind of had to understand was this was the communication revolution. It was so much simpler and so much easier to contact other people and kind of understand other people that we began to kind of see the birth of the information age. Computers were not regulated to room-sized, supercomputers. They were in your living room. They were there. The first cell phones were out. Yes, the first cell phones. Actually, technically, the first flip phone was in 98, I believe. 97, 98. And it was kind of weird. Yeah, 96, actually. This addition proliferation of cell phones, which in 96 saw Motorola's first flip phone. Yeah, and it's kind of like you could meet somebody who had something that you enjoyed. You could meet them on a forum and talk about it. Because if you think about it, things like 1999 is when things like Sufficient Velocity were actually formed. And some of these earlier groups were kind of around. If you want to hear something really bizarre, the Final Fantasy RPGs technically started in 1997 via an IRC channel. Yes, most of the Final Fantasy role-playing games you see now spawned from 97. That's why it's kind of weird to talk about. It's like, huh. What should a postmodern RPG be using dice? Oh, my friend. Oh, my brother in Christ, you fool. A postmodern RPG should just be using dice. You don't understand. That's what makes it postmodern. Is doing the same shit we've always been doing. That's kind of the joke of Yick, the game itself, in my opinion, is it is using very outdated mechanics and very outdated thinking. But it's like, oh, we're a postmodern story, being like, you're not, like you're just kind of just bad. Yick is just bad, everybody. We also have reality collapse. Literally everything will collapse in upon yourself, and everyone will die. Which leads me to Dungeon Phase. Yes, so today we're going to be, my goal for today, go all the way up here, is I want to get the Dungeon Phase done. Now, the Dungeon Phase is going to be pretty simple. The idea of the Dungeon Phase is pretty, like, this is what we would traditionally refer to as, like, the the dungeon crawl. You're going to be going through a location, going from, fighting monsters, doing things like that. I'm going to probably put some light mechanics in there, be like, this is how you form what a dungeon's going to kind of look like. A little bit more about, probably more along the lines of like maybe a 5-room setup, depending on the length, being like, long dungeons are going to be this, short dungeons are going to be like this, blah, 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 blah. The big issue is, with this, it's more along the lines of like, this is explaining what's going on in dungeon space. It doesn't make sense. Things are very chaotic. You're also going to find random stuff in there. And so that's kind of like, this isn't going to be a long section. This is literally just going to be like, when you're in dungeon space, you aren't actually doing things. You aren't healing at all. Oh, you're saying that nobody should play Yik? No, Yik is bad. Yik is painful. Yik is just an unfun game to play. I don't care what anybody says. Like, oh, well, it's actually good. It's not. It's not fun. It is anti-fun. It's not even like ironically bad. It's just bad. It's painful to play. And the main reason it's very painful to play because it doesn't, how do I want to word this? It's not because like, oh, the characters are unlikable. No. It's just everything you do takes about 5 seconds longer than it should, and combat lasts forever. Every single criticism you've ever heard about Yik is completely true. Like, do not doubt that. It is completely true. So let's see. So we want to do Das Dungeon phase. So we got the dungeon phase. Which actually, when the heroes enter a fragment of soul space. Play new version when it comes out of the oven. I want to see you taking whether it's good or it's paid. Yeah, I'm gonna play through 1.5 when it comes out. I'm gonna play through 1.5, but we're not playing it on standard difficulty. We're gonna play it on story mode. Oh, but let's cheat. No, I don't care. I am just annoyed. It's not fun. Thing is, the combat isn't hard in that game. It's long. I've never felt threatened when playing Yik. When the heroes enter a fragment of soul space. They enter a, let's see, when the heroes enter a fragment of soul space, they enter a dungeon, which locks them, which is hidden away from real space, and fosters monsters. Actually, no, fosters hostiles, because they actually have a very specific term. They call them hostiles in game. Actually, that's a specific name. What's the purpose of dungeons in Yik anyway, other than being fake gamer girl RPG game? In some of them, it's like you have to enter a dungeon to like find the end of it. And other of them, because there are like these little monster dungeons that you can enter, they serve no purpose other than just allow you to grind. But the grind isn't worth it. You get like 20 XP for killing like 4 monsters. And they could be level 20. And you're going to get the same amount of XP just about anywhere you go. So it's like, fuck it. I don't care anymore. Because that's what I did for about 3 hours. The other day, just grinded various little monster dungeons because it's awful. Hidden away from real space and fosters hostiles, produces, how do we want to word this? Pretty much it's like the idea of like it's producing items that aren't quite like, actually no, we can do produces produces how do I want to word this? Again, it's the idea that if something is in one of these, it's a fragment of soul space, enter a dungeon, you're going to find things that want to keep you out. You're also going to find stuff in there. You're going to find, I wouldn't say necessary treasure, but like things in there that are very odd and mysterious, and I wonder, what's a good word for it? Artifact? Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it an artifact. So again, I wouldn't necessarily call it an artifact, but I wouldn't necessarily call it like maybe something like produces. We'll just call it treasure for right now. Produces treasure as well as contains a soul, as well as contains a, if we want to be really pretentious about it, actually a dungeon heart, as well as contains a dungeon heart. Hostiles are the main residents of these dungeons. They are the unthinking masses that attack others, and seek out the soul survivor in the area. The dungeon serves as both a spawning ground. As they emerge from seemingly nothing, as well as I mean, technically, here's the thing. A lower entity is technically any lower entity that isn't a character or a companion are called NPCs. They're normal person characters. As well as actually serves both a spawning ground and a defense, as well as a defensive fortification to protect the heart. Treasure is spawned from treasure is created by the combination of soul space energy as well as the hidden desires of the heroes or any other unfortunate people who enter it. Treasure is located in chests or other hidden places. Let's see. Treasure is, how do I want to do? Treasure isn't strictly valuable. However, it can be. Let's see. Treasure isn't strictly valuable. However, it can be exchanged for real goods as the heroes exit the dungeon. Kind of the idea of what I want for treasure is not necessarily like you find a thing, here's the thing, but more like you're getting a shit ton of stuff that you can now spend in the dungeon to help you out, because that's kind of the idea, is like it's whatever you need at the current moment. Which by the time you exit it, you have to exchange all of it, or it just kind of dissipates because it's not worth anything. It is unreality made manifest. It's strictly valuable, however, it can be exchanged for real goods as the heroes exit the dungeon or while they are exploring. As they're exploring it, finally, the dungeon heart. Finally, the dungeon heart is nah, then he'll be working on an expansion called Twitter Space in Y2020K. Nah, Twitter is its own nightmare. I want to have fun when I make games. Finally, Dungeon Heart is the center of the dungeon, as well as as well as the location of a tear into soul space. It's the dungeon heart can be a multitude of things. However, multitude of things, including a powerful hostile. When the dungeon heart has been destroyed in either combat or just bashing it a few times, the dungeon begins to collapse back into reality as the heroes make their brave escape. So it's kind of along the idea of being like, you're entering in this place, you're looking around, you're finding stuff, and then you leave when you destroy the heart. However, you leave when you destroy the heart, it's gone. Again, that tear in soul space is no longer present, and that location is safe, but it just kind of goes back to what it was. You may want to keep it around because it may produce things that you actually. Let's do dungeon design. A dungeon is by its nature a location of unreality. Things don't make sense. Things don't make sense the deeper they go into. The deeper the heroes go into the. Actually, things. Okay, no. We already read that. Things stop. Actually. As the heroes approach the core, these should be reflective. These should be reflective of the inevitable reality collapse affecting the real world, affecting real space. If the heroes are actually when designing such a dungeon, there needs to be a few ground. How do I want to word it? When designing such a dungeon, the concept of rooms and hallways becomes a bit murkier. Concept of rooms and hallways becomes a bit murkier. As the proto master highlight. Let's see, so the concept of rooms and hallways becomes a bit murkier. So a bit murkier. Let's see. The heroes will need to actually. How do I want to word this? The heroes pressing forward will need to understand where they are going. They are going as well as trying to find signs or information about where that location may be. At any point. Alternative at any point. This can be done. Let's see. This can be done by solving no. So the idea more behind dungeons are that you've entered into a dungeon and you need to find your way to the heart. However, it's always complicated. That should be one of the big ideas. Something is not quite right. It could be a lot of enemies. It could be a lot of kind of weirder puzzles. It's one of those things like play the fucking game and make a dungeon. It's hard to really explain something like that. It's like, yeah, make them, give them puzzles, give them. Actually, I should say, look, the dungeon is designed to keep others keep others out, meaning that puzzles, hostiles, and other traps may be present to stop the. May be present to stop the various. To stop the heroes. The heroes advance. However, the dungeon must relent as its defenses crumble. So actually what we can do is simple dungeons have about 4 to 6. How do we want to word this? Encounters. Complex dungeons have about 5 to 8 encounters. And dangerous dungeons have about 7 to 10 encounters. Not gonna lie, Ann, all this sounds like a Persona Palace, and it makes a lot of sense of the reality resolver. Yep. I kind of went into this game understanding, kind of at a fundamental core, I'm going to be making a Persona game at the end of the day. It's as you can kind of see if I scroll up here a little bit. Like at the end of the day, the problem is Yik really wants to be Persona. But the problem is it doesn't quite understand what makes Persona interesting, otherwise known as characters. Characters is what makes Persona fun. Everything else is a benefit. Well, fun fact, I've never actually played Persona 5. I've played 4. I played 3 and 4. Or more specifically, I played Persona 3 FES. I think like one of the issues with like Personas and stands is that their powers are sometimes poorly designed. Like stands especially. Stands have that big issue where like something like owie. Like some stands make a lot of sense. It's like, okay, I'm playing Star Platinum. However, it's like, how do you stat out something like Gold Experience, for example? You fucking don't, because Gold Experience's powers are whenever it's convenient. Hell, you even got some of that. Yeah, Persona 3 on PSP was banging. I played Nocturne. I played the cock and ball torture of Nocturne. That was an experience. That was an experience. And let's see, what other shit I played? Yeah, no, I played. If you want me to be really fucking stupid, I had a phase where I was playing like really old games, and I played the original Shin Megami Tensei, the really old fucking one on like the SNES or something. Played that. That was a jank ass experience. Thought 5 was out on PC. I could have swore. Yeah, Nocturne is weird, and I like Nocturne. I love Nocturne. When my friend's been playing SMT5, and he's like, yeah, no, I've met, there's this dude David Demifeed, I got my shit kicked in. I'm like, yep, that's my boy. Joey Jojo system tried to enable ass pulls. Yeah, again, it's cock and ball torture. Yeah, Persona 5, I've seen bits and pieces of Persona 5. It didn't grab me as much as 4. I was in 4. And I was in 4 for the wrong reasons. I'm like, I need to see where this fucking plot goes. It's kind of interesting. I'm kind of invested. Like, Persona 3, I was also kind of in right away. I was like, okay, this is immediately weird. Kind of interested. I want to see where this goes. My fucking boy is dead. My friends are all dead. I am in suffering. This is ass. Like, I'm ready to go. Let's fucking go. 5 just didn't do it for me. I know people love 5. I get people who love 5, but I can't do it. Not grabbing me as much. I'm probably missing out a lot of stuff. Now, mind you, I've seen all the funny bits of 5. Let's see. That's the best part. Let's see. Complex dungeons, simple dungeons, actually, Persona 1, what's your thoughts on it? That's the Shin Megami Tensei Persona. That one was weird. I never actually really played or even seen too much on it. From what I've seen was like, this is kind of, it was kind of like 2 games in 1. Shin Megami Tensei 2, not Shin Megami Tensei 2, Persona 2, however, Persona 2 is banging because it's so fucking ridiculous and I love it. Like, I think like the thing that didn't sell me quite on Persona 5 was that the idea about it was a little bit out there for me. And I was waiting for like something to pop up about it, but I was like, yeah, I'm okay with it. Like, I understand why people like this. I believe Punishment, was it? It's the one with the girl, with the I believe female quote unquote protagonist. Like, that one was weird because that's when Hitler shows up. Sorry, it's not Hitler, everyone. It's the Führer. Like, I heard that. I'm like, two's balling. I'm balling with. It's one of those things like, I watched a playthrough of that one. I didn't play that one. Persona 3, yeah, Persona 3 is fun. The fucking twist killed me internally because he was my boy, everybody. That boy was mine. I loved that man. And, oh god. Oh, my boy. I suffered for him. I wanted to hold hands with him. He was a good man. Let's see. Rest and relax. Yeah, so it'd be Punishment. Let's see. In the dungeon, rest and relaxation. In the dungeon, calm is something that is almost actually. Let's see. Peace and in the dungeon, peace and quiet is hard to come by. Something is always stalking the character. Always something is stalking the heroes, and an invisible pressure is always trying to push them out. An invisible pressure is always trying to push them out. When the heroes opt to rest in the dungeon, they must. And the heroes opt to rest in the dungeon. They must. Actually, they will only restore a gutsy die plus 1 in HP, and enigmatic and cerebral, I believe. Cerebral and a cerebral die plus 1 in AE. However, every time they do such, they will need to roll on an encounter chart. They will need to roll the millennial die. Roll the millennial die to determine if they've been ambushed. They've been ambushed at all during their rest. During their rest. I'll roll the millennial die, which is going to be a 50% chance. 1 to 5. Actually, roll the millennial die to determine if they've been ambushed at all during their rest. Which we now do a chart. Which what we have to do now is we do that. We go all the way down here. Copy pasta because we love pasta here. I know I'm going to have to do the ability section one of these days, and I'm probably just going to hammer that out once. We want to do 3. Ambushed in their rest, and we need to do a table. We need to do a 2x2 table. We need to do the die roll, and we need to do die roll d20. And then we do result, and then we do a result, and then we do 1. We do 1 difficult encounter. Difficult encounter. Actually, what we should do is something like this. Difficult encounter. 2 through 8. We actually do 2 through 10, which is a standard encounter. So pretty much you got about a 50-50 chance of having not a lot of fun. 11 through, we'll do 11 through 19, which is going to be a no encounter. And however, for 20, a boon of the universal, boon of the universal will. Actually, peace. Plus 1d6 to HP/AE. Yeah, pretty much like if you roll a 20 on your millennial die, pretty much if you are resting and you're relaxing and things are okay for a time being, what you can do and be like, okay, we're gonna roll. I rolled a 19, we're gonna have no encounter. If let's say, for example, you end up with a 20, for example, that means you're going to end up that malice that wants to kick you out is gone for at least a minute or two. And you're allowed to restore just a little bit more HP, a little bit more. But it's like something like you don't really want to keep doing this. Actually, the method, the most efficient method of healing, recovery, I should say, recovery in soul space is the use of treasure. And any trinkets the heroes may possess. Let's see. I should try to emulate PSP games. It's been a while. Honestly, does Persona 3 have a Persona 3 PC? It's happening, apparently. Well, apparently it's happening. Yeah, so good news, everyone. You can start playing your Persona games on Xbox and PC. Apparently it's going to be, it's going to be Persona 3 Portable. That's getting there. Oh, that's kind of nice. I find that interesting. I know Atlas has been doing quite a bit by trying to put a lot of their they've been trying to put a lot of their games on PC for a while now. So that's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Yeah, the millennial die is supposed to be a little bit on the nose. That's the joke. Like, it's like, because the entire idea is if you ever feel lost and don't know what you're doing, just call the universal will. Just roll a d20 and see what happens. That's literally a rule in this game. Because again, the idea is that you're not necessarily playing the heroes. This is the big thing. You're not necessarily playing the heroes. You're playing watchers. You're playing souls who have kind of taken a vague interest in these guys. And you're like, huh, I wonder what happens. I find this funny. You have a little bit of a... Let's see, treasure and survival. Let's see, treasure and survival. You kind of have an interest in their survival, but on the other hand, you kind of don't. Treasure is the vague and anomalous. Let's see, vague and anomalous stuff that hostiles and that hostiles carry on them, as well as the dungeon produces. So these whole without actually upon first inspection, many these treasure appears to be valuables. Gold coins, rubies, gems, pogs, or any other kind of valuable assigned to the kind of valuable. However, under deep observation, it's revealed that these baubles are fake, or more accurate, or accurately wrong. Coins have the wrong face, or gibberish written on them. Gems are hollow, and pogs aren't correct, and pogs aren't labeled. Generally speaking, treasure is useless. Treasure is useless except inside of the dungeon. At various points. At any point, the hero may convert their gained treasure into a variety of tools, resources, or raw assistance. See, I play, PSP Final Fantasy Tactics, War of the Line is what I played originally. I emulated the PS1 version of Final Fantasy Tactics, and there's a reason Final Fantasy Tactics is still my favorite Final Fantasy game, bar none. Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, I liked Tactics Advance. Did not like Advance 2. I don't know why. Advance 2 did not do it for me. Will the dungeons have a gacha mechanic like merchants and JRPGs? A2 felt A2 felt safe, if that makes sense. A2 felt like it was doing, like it was really wanting to be, like, it wanted to be Advance, but it didn't quite know how to continue doing what Advance was doing. Yeah, exactly. Like, it was just like, hey, we're Advance again. We're Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Ha ha ha. I'm not gonna say A2 was bad. I'm just gonna say, like, it just didn't do anything. If you, like, I played Tactics, then I played Advance, and then then I played A2, like, soon after. And then I'm like, I got a few hours in. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm done. Maybe I can try to emulate Days of Ruin. There we go. That'll be something I can see. The first one was, I don't know, I can't even remember the second one. You can tell how much I give a shit about the second one, where I just completely blanked it from my own fucking memory. All I know is that I didn't like it. I know it had a stupid plot. Yeah, it was a dream, wasn't it? Because the first one was kind of an isekai. That was the idea. Like, it was an isekai. Because it was the little brother pretty much brought everybody into the world where he wasn't crippled. And that was like why Marsh is such a fucking meme. Being like, you can't live in delusions. This isn't healthy, as he drags his little brother out into the real world where he's in a fucking wheelchair. It's like, Marsh. Let's see. Let's see. The hero may convert their gain treasure and provide tools, resources, and or assistance. Or assistance. Actually, allow them to bypass puzzles or problems while also keeping themselves healthy in the face of annihilation. There we go. In the face of annihilation. And next, what we get to do, pogs, because pog. We're pogging out, everybody. Everyone pog. Then we get to do another chart. Do I really want to do? Do I want to do a 3-bit chart? Feeling a 3-bit chart. How do I want this? We'll do boon. Actually, no, we'll do treasure cost. Treasure cost, boon. And like one is going to restore one +1 HP, +1 HP or +1 AE. Kind of like the idea, like you're going to constantly, you can spend 1 treasure to restore a little bit of HP. 5, you can spend that on like a minor boon, kind of like a minor boon. Actually, minor benefit or assistance, or simple tool. I need a crowbar. Spend 5, and you're going to get a crowbar. Let's do increase it by 3. If we increase it by 3 each time, that means we're going to do increase it by 4, 8, 12. That's about fair. Major benefit or tool. Major valuable tool or resource. And what I can do is, if I go here, we go to my drive, and we go here, we go to the lexicon. Praise be to the lexicon. Vials effect. Blue vial is going to restore 2d6 HP. It's going to cost you 4. The brown vial, we don't need to. You don't need the brown vial. The elixir of body is going to be restoring. 5d6 HP. That's pretty much going to be like a full heal. It's incredibly valuable. It's going to be valued at 10. So it's pretty much about, that'd be about elixir of mind. That means we're going to be restoring 4d6 AE, very valuable. We're going to do that. We're going to make it a little bit, actually we can make that 5d6 AE. Price it about the same. Actually, no, we price it up a little bit. Because remember, these are just one-shot consumables. Light blue vial, we don't need the light blue vial. Do we need the orange vial? Let's take the orange vial in, and we're going to do add plus 2d, add plus 2 attack die to all melee attacks. While melee attacks, potion of bodily rejuvenation. Don't need that. Potion of cure body. Don't need that. Cure mind. Don't need that. Purple vial. Purple vial is going to do the restore plus 2d6 HP. That means we're going to get 6. Not HP, AE. Very different. White vial. Cure poison. Worm vial. We don't need this. Bleach row. And then we can probably, do we want to convert the yellow vial into something else? That would be okay. Increase speed by plus 5. And then we can do something very silly. We can bring them into the... Okay, actually, no, we do all those vials. What? Let's do... Oh, we can do explosive vial. Explosive vial, that means actually explosive vial. Why are you here? What are you? Merge. Why are you the way that you are? Okay, explosive vial. Deal 4d6 damage to a target, and you need to spend 20 treasure for it. Cost treasure. Treasure effects. These are basic vials. We all like the basic vials. And we need to change our normal text to newsreader. Actually, what we can do here is we can do this, we can do this, and then we do bodily functions. Bodily functions. Restoration. Health. Health. Plus 1 HP. 1 aura plus 1 AE 1. And then we do another chart because we love charts. Charts are fun. We do minor tool, major tool, valuable tool. Possess a simple tool. Gain a plus 2 to a check to a relevant check. Possess a functional tool. Gain a plus 5 to a relevant check. I'm not checking chat. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit focused right now. Possess the right tool for the right job. Gain a plus 10 to a relevant check. However, this is going to be, let me guess, this is going to be 4, 8, 12. This is actually going to be 5, 10, 15. Increase the value up like that. Don't need to do this. We have all of that. We're not going to be called bodily function. We're going to be calling tools of the tray. Go. Want to know where I got why I made these various charts? I made a Fear and Hunger game because I really like Fear and Hunger. Cool. Let's see. To be honest, Marsh got the point to torturing everyone in town, converting a fantasy creature for satisfaction of few ain't the best thing to do. Yeah. Let's see. Something horrible, Anon. Did you ever play Fear and Hunger RPG? Yes, I have played Fear and Hunger. I do love Fear and Hunger. It is a grind and it is a nightmare, and nobody has fun at the end of Fear and Hunger. Not a single person enjoys Fear and Hunger. However, I adore it. Which I actually have made. Give me 1 second as in case you want to know why I made the Fear and Hunger game, like why I have all those things. If I go to here's Fear and Hunger Forgotten Chronicles, technically. Yeah, this is actually one of my more extensive games. The thing is, the big thing is I don't want to actually go too much more deep on this particular game until Termina comes out. When Termina comes out, I'm going to do a big update of this game and add a bunch of new stuff to it, because I think that'll be fun. However, this is just valuable for me at this time. Yeah, no, it's just like, again, I am fully waiting. That's the big thing. Like, I am fully waiting for the Termina to come out to fix it. I need anything else really here? No, not really. This is supposed to be quite simple. Because I always found it weird that you could just like pork down a bunch of sandwiches. So I think vial. I mean, this isn't much better, but like, yeah, drink a bunch of weird vials you find. Yeah, Merry Christmas, fuckboy. Let's do. We gotta adjust the size of all these charts, don't we? Hasta la vista, fuckboy. We do that. We do that. There we go. There we go. Treasure and survival. What else are we looking for? What else are we looking for? I feel like I'm missing something here in the dungeon section. I do not know. Let's see what we got so far. Dungeon phase. Okay. Your friend with a creator? No, actually, I'm not. I do follow him on Twitter. He's actually, if you ever follow Happy Paintings on Twitter. Happy Paintings is the guy who did it. He's a very cool dude, and he uploads stuff about Termina all the time. And Termina is coming out soon, TM. Boom. Which I'm actually very excited for when that game finally comes out. Current state of Termina. From what I've been gathering, the current state of Termina is almost done. It's just in the bug fixing phase and the kind of like the last critical bits that he wants to finish up with. It's a very different game though. That's why I'm kind of excited for it. Inevitably, my one man Jaster will kick down my door and be like, "You must play it." And then get everybody else to do it. Because that's just how Jaster operates. Okay. The next section is going to have to be... The next section is going to have to be combat. However, this is one thing about this. So we actually want to do the combat phase. This is really what boils down to the game. This game isn't very long. I don't think it's going to be very long. I'm estimating around 30-ish pages, 30, 35-ish pages. Doesn't need to be long. Not many games really do need to be super long. But I think what we need to do is I need to get abilities hammered out. I think I need to get these. So I'm going to do the most basic understanding of abilities right now. Yeah, Termina is going to be an odd duck. Termina has a few things that I'm like, this is a very different approach. A lot of new characters, a lot of different ideas with those characters. So I'm like, I'm excited. I'm in. So we've got this. So what do we have right now? Like, this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. This. This is hammered out. This kind of hammered out. See, this works fine. I need to expand a bit this. This works fine. This is what needs to be done next, right here. So I'm like, right now I'm like, okay, how do we want to handle this? Because I need to do abilities next. Oof, okay. Let's actually think about this a little bit. So because in Yick, if we do Yick affinities. Yeah, you gotta go here, and then that's how you explain the affinity system is in this guide. There's literally no other place where they explain the affinity system at all, except here. You know that terrible feeling when you can sense the sneeze? Not many games need to be long. Yeah, here's the thing, like what I notice about a lot of games, like most of the time when you see the numbers like bulk up, usually it's things like, here's the lore section, here's the... I heard a loud thing. That was me hitting my mic real fast because I felt a sneeze coming on, because I have a little button on the top of my Mac which I can go boop. And it mutes my mic, so I don't snooze into the mic. Yeah, usually when I see like huge page counts, it's like, here's a lot of lore, here's a lot of options and stuff like that. And like, I usually don't make my games that long because I want people to play them. And fun fact, here's a fun fact for a lot of people. When you see a 400-page book, to a lot of people, that's an immediate no. And they run away because reading is scary. You'd be amazed the number of people who just immediately write something off because it is a big ass. Because it is a big ass game. You'd be amazed. Okay, so technically these are the 4 elements. Well, these are the 5 elements of Yick, which is fight, fire, water, wood, and earth. You may be wondering, why wood, earth, water, fire, and fight? There is no reason, it just is. Like, it just is. You also get some weird ones, like, everything is weak to 2 things, technically. And you are resistant to 2 things. I do not use the elemental system because the elemental system is bad. Because, like, let me think. I mean, let me remember the persona elements. Just give me the full persona elements. Shut up, fucking IGN. Oh my god, game rant list. No, just give me all the elements. Because I know they added a bunch of new ones in 5. That was the big thing. They added a bunch in 5. Yeah, because it was physical, fire, electric, psi, bless, curse, nuke, wind, ice, gun, and then how can I forget my favorite ability, gun. So we can keep with the standard fire, ice, electric, wind, light, dark. I guess we could also, I mean, let me check something a little fast. If I want to be really, like, really simple about things, I already have something like this. Like, I already have it, and I don't need to think about it too hard. Using magic, magic affecting others, elemental ability. Like, I already have this: fire, ice, wind, earth, thunder, water, and then light and dark kind of countering one another. I guess I could, like, remake this and put fucking, put Almighty in there somewhere. I guess putting Almighty in the middle there wouldn't be terrible. So yeah, I guess we can just work with this. Yeah, like which is scarier, a lot of reading or a lot of math. Here's the thing with how do I want to word this? You can have something really simple that is just incredibly dense and people are going to glaze over. You can have something that is like this this giant ass book that boils down to like roll a d6 and be happy, and people are going to glaze it over. It's usually like you need to find a good mix to get people like really invested in reading in it. Like there's a reason I make my videos on, and if you actually watch some of the little opinion videos, is I go over the mechanic pretty extensively, simply because like here's the most basic information you need to actually play the game. Because I think like once you get people in, they get a lot more excited. It's like, oh cool, I'm in. Yeah, these are the Final Fantasy elements. That's the idea. Yeah, exactly. Like, GURPS is... When will game design little school come back? I don't know. I haven't really had a good thing to talk about. Yeah, the thing with Goblin Slayer, the thing with Goblin Slayer is that if you really reduce the game down to its absolute core, you can probably get the game in about 50 pages, 50, 60 pages. However, you cannot sell a game that's 50, 60 pages for 20 bucks. That isn't going to happen. So but however, here's the thing. Here's 600 pages. That's a damn good deal for 20 bucks. Even though most of it isn't actually useful, if that makes sense. A reduction that sold us on it. Yeah. Like, it's, if you really break it down, it's very simple. It's a very simple game. Like, I think it's like the main issue with Goblin Slayer is that it likes to hold your hand a little bit more than it should. All the rules from Worlds to put into one book. You could... That would probably be a little bit more, but like that just because of all the fucking like monster rules and shit in it. But like if you strip those out, like it wouldn't be too much. Like most games do not actually have very extensive rules, because rules don't sell. You got to remember that very, very pertinent piece of information. Rules do not sell, and they will never sell. That's the big thing. I convert game treasure, so we need to do so our basic ability system. Let's just do the basic ability system. How do we want to do this? Unless I'm looking at the wrong game. I know one game out there that I did do an extensive ability creation system with. Hello, guy. It's been a while. Let's see. Potency, we have all the magic, hello rote spells, weapon arts. Edit weapon properties, add or remove tag, technique building. Do you want to do techniques or something like that? Hmm. Because most of the time, let's just do a little bit of looking. Earthbound abilities. Tell me about PSI abilities. Let's just do some basic. Tell me about PK Freeze. PK Freeze. Other series and learn in Earthbound Beginnings by Anna and Earthbound by Paula and Pooh and Mother 3 by Kumatora. If we work on all tier single enemies, possibly solidifying them. Psychic Shield Strength by 1. PK Freeze and 2 gains overall has highest damage output of the main elemental Psi. So to 1 enemies, deal 8 to 15 damage. So at the end of the day, what we need to do is we need to have damage. We need to have actually, even at the end of the day, all we need is an effect, targets, and cost. Like effects, targets, cost, and then we can probably tie it to like an element. And then like PK gun, PK Glock. Let's see. Apollo works on single row of enemies. So yeah, because we're going to use row combat, that could work pretty well. Let's see. So, no, that book exists. You did a review of it. I wouldn't be surprised. If you stripped out all the rules, like if you did strictly just rules, that gets a little bit wonkier. Like, because the thing is, like, 5e actually has quite a few rules, but nobody uses 90% of them. I mean, those are based on the manga, pretty much this mangaka campaign. Yeah, pretty much that's what Sword World all really boils down to. Like, it's literally just that's how Goblin Slayer boils down to, is it's Sword World. That's why I even say, like, you could take Goblin Slayer, the RPG, and apply it to literally any other fantasy world pretty easily. Like, it's pretty damn simple. I think the main thing with, like, 5e converting it elsewhere, the main difficulty you're going to run into, this is the big thing. The big issue you're going to run into is all the various mentions of all the like the races and stuff. That's where things get a little bit complicated, but then it boils down to like dwarf, here's a stat block, elf, here's a stat block. Like, that's where really you're going to be reducing it down. You're going to be reducing the fluff. PK beam, PK free. So the basic concepts are all there. PK Glock. Let me see power shield. Psi block. Puts an opponent from using SPSI. Okay, so let me think. At the end of the day, every ability is going to be based on this effectively. Cool. Earthbound beginning. So even hell, this is just the directly with the mind of another person can be used over great distance. Paula used it once to communicate with Ness and Jeff. I guess we can also have like, you have the direct abilities, and then you have like we can break it down into like assist slash offense, kind of like they do this. Assist, offense, and then like recovery. Actually, no, we can do assist, offense, and adventure adventure abilities. Okay, so here's our basic abilities. So if we want to create an ability, let's just say we want to create abilities. So our basic concept is, let's go, hey guy, I don't need you right now. Soul Survivor, we open this, we open a brand new sheet, we go here. And then we knew it's, so we need effectively it's going to be a name, and then that's going to be the effect. This is going to be the effect targets cost element. It's pretty much AE cost. That's what I mean by the AE cost. And then we have the element. So if we really want to be specific about this, I mean really want to be and actually I should say type as well. But we already know there's going to be 3 types. If we want to be specific about it, so what kind of effects are there? Let's think of the kinds of effects. So we have raw damage, we have status effects, we have healing for very certain ones. We have, let's see, damage, status, healing. I guess like event, kind of like this is, it's not necessarily like something major. It's like you're not going to do damage, but it's like, yeah, I have telepathy or something. It's shit like that. Like this is an ability that banish would be something in that one. It's not necessarily that it's pertinent to the event, like pertinent to fighting, but it's more, or healing or doing anything like that. It's just like by virtue of this being is important. Let's see. So damage, status, healing, event. And then targets, we could probably do a single group line. Let's see, single group line, direct focus. You know, single group line. Element is going to be, do we want to keep it with the yick elements, or do we want to break it down to other elements? Movement. Let's see, movement. The weird thing with how I plan on doing like actual combat is doing line combat. I've been experimenting with that a little bit. Pretty much like there's gonna be multiple lines of combat where you're going to be located in, kind of like a traditional RPG in that idea, where you can either be in the front or you can kind of be in the back, and depending on where you are, it's going to kind of dictate like, hey, in the back, you can't really use melee attacks. However, you can't really get hit by melee attacks either. That's how I plan on doing it. That's why like I'm not even putting really in movement here, because movement isn't really going to be a thing when it comes to stuff like that. AE cost. Generally speaking, I'm going to suspect most people are going to have about 10 to 20. I think the absolute highest early on is going to be 8 plus 6, that's yeah, it would be 8 plus, tell me, what did I end up writing here? 5. So let's say, can you have d6, d8? The absolute highest you can have, because you're going to have 5 to enigmatic plus your die, that'd be an 8 and a 6. So that would be 5, 13, 19? 19? Yeah, it would be 19. Yeah. That'd be the absolute highest you could physically get at early levels. When you do increase your abilities up a little bit, you can possibly get this up to be something like 5 plus, it would be like 5 to, let's say you have D12 in both, it'd be 24 plus 5, 29. Like you're never going to have a lot of AE, and that's not the point. I don't want you to have a lot of AE. So if cost is mostly going to be like, I would say like 2 to 10. Like with the idea being like this is the cost reducer right here. So if we're making this a cost-based thing, let's just do a cost-based thing that you get a certain amount of, let's say, just like power points or something, and you can do this. So if we want to do like damage, would be like Actually, no, damage would be easy because because damage is gonna be applied to the same idea as. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Because damage doesn't need to be very high. However, we can also do like. Actually, no, we do damage simple and then damage advanced. Actually, no, damage can do like 1, 2. Then we do to like 2, 2, 3. Actually, no, we increase it by 2 each time. Like, even like this would be like a pretty good spell right here. Like 5, 10. Like, there we go. This would be our costs. So if we do this, this would be like, I've selected a damage spell. I need to spend 0 for literally nothing. I need to spend, let's say, 2, 4, 6. Let's just 2, 4, 6, 8. However, we can probably need to jack this up pretty hardcore because we need to make sure that people aren't just like investing in one nuke spell right off the bat. Maybe 5, 10, 15, 20. So the jump is a little bit there. You can probably afford maybe like 3, 6, but it's going to be pretty expensive. And then we have targets. We have single, we have group, we have then the line. The single person is going to be 0 because it's just pretty simple to do. The group is going to be the most expensive, let's say at 10, and line is going to be 5. Because line is reduced in value depending on where you're aiming. Yeah, effects are where things are going to get like the most amount of numbers. Yeah, right there. That's where you're actually going to get a lot of things. Like, it's just math right now. Why not the element in Latin? That could work. But, like, let's see. AE cost is going to be, again, AE cost is, like, you're going to, like... See, if I want to be a dick, what we do is count down. So it's like 10, 10 points is going to be 0. Like, it's going to cost you 10 of your AE to do this. However, like if we reduce it down to like 9, 8, 6, 9, 8, 7, 6, etc., that value kind of increases proportional. So you might spend a shit ton of your power on doing like 1, 2 things, or we do it counting up in a way, which would be like cost 1 AE to do something is technically free. However, to cost it like 6, cost at 5 would be -5 to the overall amount spent. I think I like the idea of spending down. Because that means power points have a little bit more value. So it would be something like... However, I can probably do the idea of like counting up. Like, yeah, you want to spend like 12 of your AE on this? Yeah, that's fine. You get a little bit of a refund back, not much. Yeah, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Healing can probably do, like, if we keep this, healing can also probably be the same thing. Just, it's a lot cheaper to heal. Healing and damage about the same. Status is where things are going to get a little bit wonky, but I need to determine what kind of statuses we're going to be inflicting on people. And event is, actually what we can do for event is something like this. Because we already have some ideas, which we do event, which we can do a kind of like a minor one is going to cost you 5, a major one is going to cost you 10, and something critical is going to cost you 15. However, It's a kind of an event one that it's going to cost you a lot of power to do something. However, it's the value of having it kind of thing. Because you have the ability to do such, this is a major boon on your advantage. Like, this is something that you have that is actually very beneficial. Targets work pretty well. And so let's say, for example, if I want to make a very simple ability, let's say we want to do PK Glock. So I can say, and let's say I want to spend 10 points on it. I can say, okay, cool, I want to do 2-4 damage with it. Kind of the idea of like, this is my standard damage, this is my heavy damage. Now, how damage is going to be working mostly is standard damage is you get to roll your millennial die plus any of your relevant combat die. So you have to roll them all and being like, okay, cool, I scored 3 hits. I'm going to do 3 instances of 2 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool, I did 6 damage. Heavy attacks don't have you roll the millennial die though. You just roll your combat die. However, you know, it's like, okay, I scored 2 successes. I did 8 damage now. That's kind of the idea. Like, you want to do heavy damage. Heavy damage is what's kind of the big one, but you have a less chance of hitting. A PK Glock for 10, that's going to cost me 5. We just want to do a single target. We want this to be 5. We want this to be 5 AE, which is going to be 5. So we spent all our things. And we're going to have no element. So for now. And type is just going to be a combat. So this would be a basic ability, PK Glock, and probably written, how I'll probably do it is something like PK Glock, 5 AE, 2-4 damage, single, no element combat. So there we go. This is what a basic ability might look like. Worth 10 points that you get to design. However, you also get to, yeah. All right. Like how this game isn't actually postmodern, but attempting to recreate a feel of someone trying to make a game without understanding what postmodern means. Again, I have a very, like, here's the odd thing. I kind of like the pitch of Yick, if you ignore the postmodern bit. Like, just the idea of, like, guy returns home, finds out weird shit's going on in town. Hell yeah, I'm in. I like that idea. I like those kinds of plots. However, the problem is, it's written by someone who is a pretentious fuck. It's not really a postmodern TTRPG. That's kind of the point. That's you can argue be the joke. Let's see. Because all it is going back and trying to replicate a feeling. Because that's all it is at the end of the day, isn't it? A feeling. We do that. Targets. That should be fine. AE. I'm not certain on the AE costs. I am not certain on that. However, let's do some other statuses. I mean, again, when in doubt, you go back to something you know. When in doubt, you go back to something you definitely know. And I definitely know that for Guy, I did a lot of things that were pretty much just this in one way or another, which we can actually do a lot of the application stuff here. Which we can do something like that. Let's just put this in here. When in doubt, we're just going to reference things. When reference. It's good. Referencing is good. Weapon arts. Don't really need weapon arts at all. This isn't really what I was going for at all. We don't need to worry about any of this. Don't really need to worry about any of this. Technique building. Cool. Power, status effect, ailment, target, range, benefits. Techniques, cool. our benefits. All our various costs. Yeah, what other game did I do? A lot of character creation ability. Fists of Chaos I did some with. I got anything else here that I can really work with? Not really. There isn't really that much. Hyper Arbor. Yes, we can use some of the modifiers here. Maybe we can finagle something together. Changsha. I did a lot of things with Changsha. I remember that. Changsha. Whoa, yeah. Changsha working. My Western Wuxia game. I forgot because I remember I made the argument that technically a sword is a gun in this setting. Internal ammo cycling. No, okay. Alright, so this is really what we gotta work with. Because again, it's one of those things, like if we consult like Yik, technically I can just go back to this. This is the best way to actually talk about anything related to Yik. For all of the issues related to it. Like Alex, for example, this is his base ability. This is all his other abilities are like the little fucking mini games. And it's awful. Yeah, this is like these are Alex's like very core abilities that he gets to do is play the same fucking things over and over and over again and do literally no fucking damage. AP strike, AoE attack, status effects. We want to do Vela, just has to do that. Then she has to do her fucking key combination. Then she has to play Pong. Play a short game of Pong, and then attack will deal damage to everyone. Fast drop. Damage. Banish. Banisho. Rory just has pacifism and death. Rory just dies. Yeah, Claudia doesn't have any extra abilities. Neither does Chandra. Chandra has like this entire gimmick to worry about. Okay. How's the sword a gun? In Changsha, by technicality, one of the schools of thought is by technicality, all a gun is something that it is a bullet contained within an object designed to shoot. So at the end of the day, is not your sheath of your sword by technicality a gun, and so when you draw your sword, it is you firing a gun. And the entire joke with it is that it is such a brazen leap of logic. It makes no sense. And everyone just kind of gotta accept it. That is the literal reason. It's just like, yeah, it's kind of like a gun because I have a holster in it. It's like, fine. Like, we completely accept this argument. But Changsha is also a very weird setting. Honorable Warrior. Yeah, that's the entire joke with Changsha, was that it is a Western wuxia. It is just take all the wuxia tropes and take all the Western tropes and merge them together. Because the entire idea is like, if you really look at both of them, they are the exact same thing at the end of the day. So it's like, yeah, go for it. Yeah, it's the cowboy is the samurai of Texas. Yeah, it was supposed to be a little bit ridiculous, but that was also the game where, like, yeah, let me just parry this bullet with my fist real fast. Let me shoot the bullet out of the air and then hit you with the other bullet because I am that cool. Okay. So I think I know what I need to do. I think I know how to do it, too. Unfortunately, there isn't just the, just fix everything. So what I'm going to do is the thing what I'm going to do. I'm going to get just a shit ton of abilities out and just hammer them all together. And get this. Once the ability system is done, I'm going to feel real confident in the future, effectively. And if things are going according to plan, my goal is we're going to get, let's see, today is Monday. On Wednesday, we're going to do the entirety of combat. We're going to sit down, we're going to do a notepad must die, and we're going to do combat. We're not going to stop until it's done. After that, we can kind of play around with what's going on. Depending on how I'm feeling, we may hammer out enemies and we'll be finished on Wednesday. Alternatively, we may need to delay after we finish enemy creation and then wrap up everything on Friday. Kind of depends on how things are going, and kind of depends on how the world's spinning, if that makes sense. If things go according to plan, cool. If not, I do know, let me just check real fast. I do actually have a commission out. Someone has commissioned me. And I sent them the invoice. And once oh goodness, I never like it when I see that. That's cool. Oh, yep, we sent the invoice. See, the invoice is there, and then we got a bunch of updates apparently from you. Yeah, I have sent the note about it. I kind of just gotta wait right now. That's what it's kind of boiling down to. I need to sit down and wait. If he gets back to me soon, cool, we'll have the next game set up. If not, there might be a day or two of just kind of sitting on our hands a little bit, trying to figure out what's going on. But everything should be going pretty smoothly, generally speaking. So I'm going to call it there. By Wednesday, my goal is to get all the abilities done effectively, kind of explain how that works. Probably fix up some of these other little bits. I think I know how it's going to work. I think, hopefully it works. I don't know. I'm kind of going by the seat of my own pants here. So, yeah. Thank you all for watching. My name is Notepad. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. So, Godspeed, good luck, and I will see you all on, well, tomorrow most likely, because that's when we're also continuing Yick, because God help us all. Oh, God. I don't want to do, yeah.